All right, I want to talk about making a robot user frame on a angular workpiece. So you can see here I have two workpieces. I have my flat plate, which is fairly straight on with the robot. I have made that user frame. Those are fairly easy just because we are on very similar planes. But now I want to make one for this. So let's say we have a whiteboard. Let's say we have a work fixture that requires something sitting at an angle. We're picking or placing something. We want to orientate the robot to this piece. So I have my robot here. It is a 710C. And we need to get it there, right? So if we remember, when you're moving from workpiece to workpiece, it's best to switch the joint mode, because when I go to joint, I can just rotate joint one here and get myself closer rather than trying to navigate via the world frame through your XY coordinates. So on my teach pen in here, I'll hit shift, or not shift, I need to change to joint. So you can see right here, we're in world. I need to hit my coordinate button, not tool, not user, but joint. So now that I'm in joint, I can hit shift, and these are using the J values here. So I want to do J1. And we can see my J1 is starting to spin. I can set myself up here to see approximately how far I have to go. Looks like we can bump this speed up just a little bit till we get close to that workpiece. Looks close. So see, that was just one movement, right? That was just, turn my speed down before I forget. That was just one motion. I could have done that in the world frame, and then I would have been jogging XY. I could have hit singularity. I could have reached some of the robot's limits just because it's trying to, it's too complicated. Where the joint, all it did was rotate this, everything else stayed the same. I'm close enough that now I can start manipulating. So so now that I'm here, I need to get the pointer at about 90, as close to 90 degrees as I can from right here. So I may have to use a combination of world and joint. I'm going to use world to get me a little closer to the workpiece. So I'll give it some Y negative. Going to give it some Z. So I'm going to back up just a little bit with some RY plus. So that gets me pretty close. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch back to joint. And if you can kind of see how the robot is sitting right now, you can kind of see where I'm going with this. I'm going to switch back to joint, and knowing my axes, if I rotate this axis right here, that should swing this out and help me get more in line. So, and I may have to back up just a little bit, but let's see what that got us. So in joint, if I go to 5, let's see if I'm going to collide here. Maybe slow my movement down a little bit. Actually, it looks like I'm going to be perfect. Lucky guess. So you can see here now I am starting to align this a little bit better. I'm going to actually switch back, not shift. I'm going to switch back to world. I'm going to switch back to world, and I'm just going to give it a little Z just to get a little further away. I know obviously virtual, but when you're working in the lab, right, anytime you're that close, you want to be more exact, where I'm still in the world of I'm trying to get it close. So I don't like to be that close to the workpiece. So let me go back to joint. And let me give it a little more J5. And kind of look around. Look what this is looking like right here. So it looks like we got to go a little that way. I'm looking pretty close there. It's looking like I need to rotate a little bit. So that is going to be in our J4. So give this a little J4. And get this lined up. So that's looking pretty good. I like that location right there. That's a pretty good alignment. So now that we're here, I want to go back to world because I want to lock. I want to move now around a coordinate spot because if I move in joint, I'll mess this position up. Right. I won't stay perfectly 90 degrees from that. So now we need to make a user frame. So hopefully we know how to make a user frame, but if not, this is how we do it. On our teach pendant here, if we come to menu, if we go to setup, frames, I am currently in user frame. If it wasn't in user frame, let's say, let me go to tool frame, for example. If you open this up, if I hit menu, setup, frames, and it's in tool frame, that doesn't mean you're in the wrong spot. You didn't click the wrong button. You just have to come down here to other, and you have to select the frames. It just starts on wherever you left off. So I just need to come down here and select user frame. We can see here I have my one user frame made as a flat plate, and all of these are not. So the way the user frames go is 0 is always world frame. Remember, world frame is this point right down in here in the middle of the robot, and 0 is unchangeable, and 0 is always the default. 1, I made 1 the flat plate, so I made a frame for this right here, and that's number 1. So now we're going to make number 2 this angled plate. So that's what we're going to set up right now. So if I highlight number 2, you can use your arrows here to click on number 2, and we can click on details. So right now we clicked on it, and the method is direct entry, but we do not have this catted out. Obviously in my virtual space, I could probably figure that out, but we do not. So we want to change the method to 3-point. So now our 3-point frame, remember, gets us our origin, and then our X, and then our Y. So we want to start with origin. We can also add the name here. So if I double click on my comment box, you can see I get some type instructions. So I can use uppercase or lowercase through the teach pendant by pressing these letters here. I can also get punctuation. I like the keyboard option, obviously, because it's a keyboard. In my case, it is now on my keyboard here on my computer. But on your case, it will pop up a keyboard on the screen here, and then you can just touch the type. So I'm going to call this angle plate. And I'm going to hit exit. So there you see I have a name there. So normally it will say undefined on all of these. I just recorded this and my video just crashed after my recording. So all of these are set, but I'll walk you through making this. One cool thing, whether it is going back through and checking, or it is confirming your points or saving yourself time jogging around, if you have these points defined, there's a move to button down here that you can go to that exact point. So if you see here, I'm not exactly anywhere. If I want to go to my origin, I can hit shift and move to, and that robot will move to my exact origin point. See 0, 0 here. Then I can set my origin point if it hasn't been already. And now the next thing I need to do is set my X and Y. X being up here in this top corner, and then Y being down here in this bottom corner. So what I would do now is I would jog up to this upper point, get it as close as possible. So I would, if it wasn't saved, I would try to jog up to that upper point and get it as close as possible to set that origin or set that point. So then I come to my Y direction or my X direction and I hit record. So now I need to do the Y. So yes, I could jog this robot the whole way back down to here. I like to come to my origin point and hit move to and move back to my origin just to get me closer automatically, right? You could jog it and all of that, but this way the robot moves itself down here and then I just have to move it the rest of the way. So now in world mode, as you can see, I start jogging the robot over to the Y position here. Once I feel that it's close, I can then hit record again, and then it will say user frame updated. So you just created a user frame there. So now let's use it. So you can see, and it obviously is a little more visually appealing on my computer, but you can see here, I have a coordinate field at the end of my robot for whatever coordinate plane I'm currently in. You don't have that visually. You just have to kind of know that when you're working with a robot. So, but when I'm in world mode, right, my origin is right here and I am aligned with that origin. So you can see here, my origin is straight out from the robot and that is how I'm moving. So if I jog in an XY, that is where I'm moving. So to test my user frame, I need to, one, know this number, right? Which we should know is 2. I need to hit my shift button, hit coordinate, and I need to toggle down to user. Let's just set this to 1 so it's not on that one. So I need to set this to user. And we are in user frame number 2, right? So if I toggle down to it and hit enter and press number 2 and then enter again, I have now switched to user frame number 2. But you notice over here, my XY plot didn't change. Well, that's because I'm still in world mode right here. So now if I let go of shift and if I press my coordinate button, see, I can go to tool and I can go to user. So now look, now that I'm in user, look what our coordinate field did. It perfectly aligned itself to our workpiece that we just set. So now, if I would shift and jog in user, my Z is straight up. My X is straight up and down. My Y is straight left and right. So now I am perfectly aligned on this workpiece. And if I want to move around, like in this case to these dots, it is way easier now to just, I need to go up a little bit. I need to go left or right a little bit. And I am perfectly aligned. I don't have, if I'm jogging in a straight line, like now if I want to jog up the workpiece, I just press X and it just goes straight up. None of this X a little bit, Z a little bit, X a little bit, right? Like in a step format. Like let me just switch, for example. Let me just switch back to world right here in the middle of our workpiece, right? So now I'm back on world, right? If I want to go to the top of this workpiece, so I'm going Y. Oh, I'm about to run into workpiece. Now I need to do Z. Okay, so now I need to do a little negative Y again. Oh, now I need to do Z, right? So you're working up the workpiece in a very step-like format, and it can get very hard. So that is how you create a user frame on an angular plane. It is exactly the same on a flat plane. It's just a little more difficult just because of the jogging around a angular frame. But that is how you create a 3-point user frame. You can now hit your menu button, go home or wherever else you would like to go, and you can always reference back by hitting menu, setup, frames, and if I go back, see now I can see I have a flat plane for number 1 and I have an angle plate for number 2. And I could keep defining different ones if I get new work pieces.